My name's Mike. I'm just a regular guy. Nothing special. Life's been a grind, jumping from one odd job to the next. So, when I got hired as the night security guard at the largest graveyard in the country, I didn't think much of it. The pay was decent, and I figured it'd be easy. Graveyards are supposed to be quiet, right? Peaceful even. But this wasn't just any graveyard. They called it the Eternal Fields, a sprawling necropolis stretching farther than the eye could see. Thousands of graves, crypts, and mausoleums, some so old their stones had crumbled into dust. People whispered about it being haunted, cursed even, but I laughed it off. The old caretaker who gave me the keys didn't share my confidence. He avoided my eyes and muttered a warning as I left. Stick to the main paths, don't wander too far, and whatever you do, don't disturb the graves. I didn't believe him then, but I should have. The first night was uneventful, at least at first. I walked the grounds with my flashlight, the beam slicing through the thick darkness. The silence was oppressive. No birds, no insects, just the crunch of my boots on the gravel. Then, around midnight, I heard it. Whispers, faint, like the wind, but unmistakably voices. I froze, straining to listen. The voices were soft, almost pleading, though I couldn't make out the words. I kept walking, trying to shake it off. That's when I saw it. A figure at the edge of the graveyard, standing still, watching me. My flashlight flickered as I shone it toward them. "Hey!" I called out, my voice echoing. The figure didn't move, and then it disappeared. Just like that, it was gone. I finished my rounds, but the whispers followed me. That night, sitting in the security booth, I locked the door and didn't move until the sun came up. The second night, the whispers grew louder. They seemed to pull me in, leading me deeper into the graveyard. I followed them to an old crypt, one I hadn't noticed before. Its door was slightly ajar. As I stepped closer, a chill ran down my spine. The door creaked open on its own, revealing darkness so thick it seemed alive. The air inside was freezing, and the faint smell of decay made me gag. That's when I saw it, a message scrawled on the crypt wall, written in what looked like ash. It said, "Help us." I felt it before I saw it, a cold hand brushing my shoulder. My breath caught. I spun around, but no one was there. Then she appeared, a woman in a tattered dress, her eyes hollow, her face pale and lifeless. She raised a trembling hand, pointing toward a grave in the distance. Her lips moved, but no sound came out. And then, she was gone. By the third night, I was obsessed. That grave she pointed to, it was marked with strange symbols, symbols that made my skin crawl just looking at them. I started digging, and that's when I found it. A hidden chamber beneath the earth. Inside were skeletal remains bound in chains carved with intricate runes. The air grew heavy, suffocating, and the temperature dropped sharply. When I touched one of the chains, the ground trembled, and a deafening roar echoed through the graveyard. I fell back as the shadows in the room seemed to twist and coalesce. And then, he appeared. The devil himself, or something just as terrifying. He was massive, with horns curling like blackened branches and eyes burning like molten fire. His voice shook the earth. "Leave them. They are mine." I stumbled out of the chamber, his laughter echoing in my ears. I couldn't ignore it anymore. I sought out the old caretaker, desperate for answers. He listened to my story and nodded grimly. "You've seen him," he said. "The devil. He's bound those souls to this graveyard, feeding off their torment." He handed me an ancient journal, its pages filled with rituals and prayers. "There's a way to break his hold, but it's dangerous. If you fail, you'll be trapped here forever." The ritual required an iron dagger and a prayer older than the graves themselves. That night, armed with the tools, I returned to the graveyard. The devil was waiting, his shadow stretching across the tombstones. "Foolish mortal," he hissed, "you cannot defy me." But I had to try. The fifth night was pure chaos. The graveyard came alive with wails and screams. The spirits of the trapped souls swirled around me, their faces twisted in agony. I entered the hidden chamber one last time. The devil loomed above me, his laughter shaking the walls. I recited the prayer, my voice trembling but steady. He lunged at me, his fiery form filling the chamber, but I held my ground. With the final verse of the prayer, I drove the iron dagger into the ground. The earth shook violently, and a blinding light erupted from the chamber. The chains shattered, and the spirits began to ascend, their torment replaced with peace. The devil roared, his form disintegrating into ash, and then silence. When the sun rose, the graveyard felt different. The oppressive weight was gone, replaced by an almost serene calm. But I couldn't shake the feeling that I hadn't truly won. Sometimes, late at night, I still hear the whispers, faint, distant, but unmistakable. And in the darkest corners of my mind, I hear his laughter. Did I defeat him, or did I just take his place?